Welcome everyone to BCD's How to Fail-Proof Your Video Surveillance System webinar. We want to thank you for joining us today. My name is Carl Palish. I am business manager for North America. I'll be hosting this, and before we get into the actual iDRAC integration pieces that Jonathan will be speaking about and displaying how you can future-proof your video surveillance system, I wanted to give you a brief introduction on BCD Video itself, or BCD, if you're not aware of who we are. So I'm sharing my screen. We were started in 1999, over 20 years ago. We have over 180,000 systems. We ship to 91 countries and 6 continents, all from Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Built, supported, and shipped from Buffalo Grove, Illinois, right here in the States. Very proud, and the reason you're on here today is to see how you can future-proof your video surveillance system. Very proud to say that out of all those systems, we have 2 women and 2 men in our support engineering team that supports all those systems. So it's a very nice, reliable product, and I'm really glad that you're joining us today. You'll see some of the reasons that you can keep those servers up and running for your customers and yourselves. We have supply chain has hit very hard out there. Fortunately, as Dell's largest OEM, we're still shipping within 5 days average. All of our servers and workstations fully configured for you. And then we're fortunate enough to be able to have software companies out there come to us and want to build our hardware for them. So we have over 40 plus private label customers. So we opened up an OEM division a couple of years ago. So we do have a capacity of 700 per run servers a day, and hopefully we'll get that many orders in that someday we'll fulfill all that. And this is just a quick view of a lab that we have. Our portfolio in a nutshell is video recorders and workstations. So if you're looking at workstations, we can get very inexpensive to see streaming, clean streaming, all the way up to very powerful ones to drive video well. So we have the full gamut there of your workstations as well, especially designing the recorders and servers to make sure that it meets your needs and exceeds your customers' expectations. Then we cover all the architectures out there with distributed, centralized cloud solutions and also virtualization solutions. We also provide you support on your network infrastructure needs for networking, industrial servers and switches, and then we call our hyper-converged infrastructure product Revolve. That is a good virtualized product there. So that's the portfolio that BCD covers. This is a quick sample of what it is that we build on. Now, as you review this, I could show you another 10 snapshots of this. But the bottom line is, if you have a video access control or analytic project out there and you do want support on that, bring it into BCD and we will make the solutions happen for you and us. Now, today what we're going to talk about is our iDRAC. iDRAC is a very, very powerful tool. It is a Dell product. It's a tool by Dell that BCD has enhanced. And Jonathan is going to run through some scenarios today and show you the power of this tool and integrated within the VMS platforms as well, and look at the way that you can go ahead and future-proof the surveillance systems out there for your customers to make sure that that hardware is up and running and they have that video when they need it. Our whole goal is going to a single pane of glass. If you're selling them one VMS out there, why make them leave that VMS GUI and go to another to manage all their tools? Do it right through that same GUI that they're familiar with. So all in the interest of protecting your infrastructure needs that you have. So Harmonize Bridge is that tool. And we have also created it for Windows 10 and 11. So now you can take advantages of the workstations coming in under this tool as well. And I am not going to take up too much of the time for Jonathan. I know he's excited about talking about this. He is our technical guru on this. So I am going to, at this point, stop sharing my screen and I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan. Jonathan, it's all yours.
Okay. All right. Let me just share my screen real quick. And then if you just want to let me know once you can see my screen.
Yep.
All right, you can see it?
We can see it.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Jonathan Benedict. I'm the business development rep for the TOLA territory, but I also work with our development team on our custom integrations, such as the iDRAC integration into the VMS platform. And as Carl mentioned, we're going to be talking about how you can help failure-proof your video surveillance system with this integration. So over the years, after you've procured your hardware, you're going to start running into certain issues maybe, or you want to be alerted of certain issues such as predictive hard drive failures, the CPU overloading, any overheating from the temperatures on the exhaust or inlet temperatures, power supply interruptions, and just the ability of losing your recording overall, right? And so with that, we've developed the Harmonize iDRAC integration to bring all of those great features from the iDRAC interface itself into the VMS platform, and including the information that Windows 10 and 11 and Server 2019 provide, and to bring it into that single pane of glass, as you saw on Carl's screen. So how does it work? So our developers have tied into the iDRAC API and brought in key telemetry and data such as the hard drive status, temperatures, all the fans, power supplies, memory usage, CPU status. And we've taken all of that great data and now integrated it into the VMS platform. And with this, now you can get these alarms and alerts directly to the end user and the operators of those VMS systems. So as soon as something goes wrong with those particular servers, they'll be aware of it, rather than having to log into each individual, iDRAC interface. So kind of some of the differences between the standard iDRAC versus the harmonized iDRAC. So we give you that simplified login experience. So now you can log into every single one of your iDRAC entities all within the VMS management page. We give you action items such as the LED chassis identifier button, where you can turn that on, and we'll see this in the live demo. You can turn that on and find and make sure that you're working on the correct server. Flexible dashboard views, so now you can custom create your dashboard views in the security clients to allow you to see all of your iDRAC entities in one iDRAC overview pane, and the ability to reboot any of these systems within the integration. So some of the key differentiators right there. Today in the live demo, we'll be going over Milestone, Genetec, Hanwha, Digifort, and showcasing how we can even bring in Windows 10 and 11 into these VMS platforms. So for your workstations, laptops, or even servers running Windows 10, you can now bring in those entities as well. So let me minimize this. And for those of you who've never seen iDRAC, don't know what iDRAC is, this is the iDRAC interface that you can log in through a web browser. And through this interface, as I mentioned, you can view key system data, such as the cooling, the CPUs, power supplies, network devices. So iDRAC itself is a very powerful tool that's included on the Dell chassis. And with this, you can also upgrade to iDRAC Enterprise and leverage the virtual console feature as well. And what this allows you to do is you can actually bring up the interface to have a remote desktop session with that OS that's installed on that particular server. So for instance, this is our virtualized chassis, so we can see the ESXi hypervisor here. But with any other server, you would be able to see your Windows login screen. And the virtual console feature allows you to do things such as even image servers through the virtual console. So it's a very powerful tool. So as I mentioned, our developers have taken all of this and now we've put it inside of the VMS platform. So we're going to start off here with the Milestone Management Client. So under the MIPS plugin section, you'll see our Harmonize iDRAC plugin. It's a simple software executable that takes all of 30 seconds to install. And you'll have your iDRAC configuration page. And in the iDRAC overview pane, whether you have 1 server or 50 servers, there's no limit. You can put as many servers here, workstations, laptops that are in your environment. You'll be able to name these accordingly, depending on the role that they're running and how you want to identify each server. The only thing you'll need is the Windows IP address, username and password, and then the iDRAC IP address, username and password. Once you have this input, you'll be able to hit save up here. And then the status will change to connected. And to verify this, you can actually launch the remote console to that iDRAC entity and log in to iDRAC all within the management client here. And immediately, since we have iDRAC Enterprise, it will pop up that virtual console for you. So if you needed to log into that server, you could. But if you don't need to, you can simply close that out and view any of the key critical data inside of the iDRAC interface as needed. With this configuration page, we are leveraging some telemetry threshold sliders that you can custom set per server. So you can actually set the CPU load, the temperature range, and the memory usage for each and every entity that you create, depending on what it's doing. And with those, we have alarm definitions that you can leverage for the smart client with the alarm manager. So if the CPU loads above the threshold, there's a fan failure inside of the chassis. If any of the hard drives go into a predictive failure, we're monitoring all of the NIC ports on the back of that chassis. So if any of them go down, it will throw an alarm. Power supplies, and then the temperature being above the threshold that you set. So those are some of the alarms that we can now leverage from the server and put them inside of the smart client. We also have some of those key action items like I was mentioning with the LED indicator and the restart server button. So if you're trying to work on a particular server in an MDF or IDF, and you want to make sure that you're pulling a hard drive or a power supply from the correct server, now you can come inside of the integration and turn on that LED indicator, and it will start blinking on the front of that chassis for you to make sure that that technician or end user is working on the correct server. With the restart server button, simply as it states, if that server is unresponsive, frozen, maybe the SQL has run away with the CPU load and you can't RDP into it, well, rather than having to physically go to that server, now you can reboot the server within the integration and will cold power cycle that server for you and get it back up and running. As you saw, we have the launch remote console button as well. So if you needed to bring up that virtual console session to that server to do anything inside of it, you can leverage that as well. Coming over here to the smart client. So now we can see all of the live health and telemetry data inside of the smart client. So when we blow this up, so we have our iDRAC overview tree here. And we'll start off, so you have your CPU telemetry. So over the past hour, it's going to show you all the pegs on this graph down here of what the CPU has been doing. We have the memory as well. Here we have the temperature. So both the temperatures for the CPU, the exhaust and inlet, and then we have all of the fans installed in that particular chassis. We have our storage resource tab here. So this is going to show you whether or not any of your hard drives are in a predictive failure, the status of them. And as soon as something goes wrong with one of those hard drives, it's going to alert you and let you know. We also have our power supplies and then our NIC ports, as I mentioned. And to kind of see what this looks like when it goes into an error. So as soon as something goes wrong with that particular server, now inside of Alarm Manager, so if you have a large entity such as a city, school district, hospital, where all the servers may be spread out over a large geographical area, you can actually use the custom map for that area and associate it with each of your servers and these iDRAC alarms now that you can associate. So as soon as that security guard sees this alarm, he's going to know exactly what's going on with that particular server, where it's located, and then how many times that particular alarm or alarms have fired for that server. So whether it be 2 a.m., 3 a.m., he can at least alert the appropriate personnel and let them know exactly what's going on so that the server can be fixed proactively rather than show up at 8 a.m. and the server's crashed and nobody knows what's happened to it. Now you have all of these key alarms and alerts to let you know exactly what's been going on. When we come over here to the live view, so as soon as this NIC port went down, you can see that you'll have that red amber LED here on the resource tab and then in the overview tree. So you don't necessarily have to click through every single tab. So if you have this thrown up in a security operations center and you have 50 servers up there, now as soon as something goes wrong with one of these servers, you're going to know immediately by glancing over here and seeing that this server has a problem with the network resource, this server you can't connect to. So it just speeds up that proactive approach to resolving any issues. So along with that, we'll come over here to our Genetec system and show you what that looks like for Genetec's config tool and security desk. So here we have the exact same configuration page that we saw in Milestone. You'll be able to select the server type that you have, IP, username and password, the exact same. And then we have those same telemetry thresholds. Over here in the events, you'll see that once you install the plugin, it's going to load all of these custom Harmonize iDRAC events that you can associate alarms and event to actions to inside of Security Desk for the alarm manager. So failed NIC, failed drives, the thresholds for the memory, temperature, and processors. Then we have the same LED indicator and restart server button. And then we can also leverage that same great virtual console feature inside of Config Tool without ever having to leave it and open up 10 different Chrome tabs or anything like that. Coming over here to Security Desk. So here we have our monitoring tile. This is what your layout could look like. You can customize it depending on how many iDRAC entities that you have created. So you're going to get your cooling, your storage, your memory, your network devices, all those same great critical components inside of that server you're going to be able to view in Security Desk. And then over here, we actually have our Windows 10 laptop as well. So whether it be a workstation, a laptop, running Windows 10 or 11, you can also bring that in. So here you can see all of the network devices on that laptop, memory, storage. So not only can you get it for your servers, now you can bring in all of your security guards' workstations and view your entire VMS environment's hardware in one single pane of glass. Then when we come over here to the monitoring tab, you're going to get all of these great alerts, which can be customized to include pop-ups inside of the alarm. So whether it be CPU load, or you want it to alert a certain message to the guard, you can all customize that depending on what alerts that you want them to see, right? And then we also have the map feature as well inside of Genetec. So now you can, once you've created all of your iDRAC entities, you can actually associate these on the map as well for easier monitoring, especially when all the servers are in certain areas. You'll be able to utilize this as another great resource. With that, we'll come over here to our Hanwha system. So here we have our iDRAC server, and we have the CPU load set to 0%. So as you see, there's an alarm right here, and it's letting you know that, hey, there's something wrong with this particular system component. And then over here on the event section, you can see we have that same great BCD Harmonize iDRAC plugin diagnostic event, letting the end user know that, hey, there's something going on with the CPU. Please contact BCD support. Then we also have our Windows laptop as well brought into the Hanwha system. So now you can see all that same great info right here in the screen. And then we'll move on to DigiFort. So this is what the integration is going to look like inside of DigiFort. So here we have our BCD iDRAC utility. And this is where you're going to create all of those key entities. You can set the thresholds from this page and then associate all of the alarms that you've created inside of DigiFort's management client and associate those accordingly. And then when those alarms come up inside of the surveillance client, you're going to get alerts like this to the end user that let you know, hey, the CPU load's been exceeded, contact BCD support. Once again, it gives you that proactive, hey, something's going on with this particular resource, allowing them to take care of it right away rather than it becoming a bigger issue in the long run. So with that, we'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. And does anybody have any questions on any of the particular integrations or in general?
Feel free to raise your hand or use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen.
Well, if there is no further questions, we had till 1:30 Central Standard Time. We've got 6 minutes left. We hope that you enjoyed the iDRAC integration webinar to help failure-proof your video surveillance systems in the future. And know that iDRAC is a powerful tool by Dell, enhanced by BCD, written into the integration of the VMS platforms, and only to give you that single pane of glass through your BCD support teams. So thank you for joining us on behalf of BCD and everybody out there, our partners, our hope to be soon partners, wherever you are. Thank you so much. Jonathan, thank you for that. Amanda and your marketing team, thank you for putting this all together. Everybody enjoy your day.